morning. I've never really walked into dramatic music. Got Your Six invited me to do this. I was a little hesitant at first. I don't do a lot of public speaking. I didn't have a TED Talk in my pocket that I could just pull out. But I really believe in what they're doing. As a vet myself, I see the value of bringing vets back into society and empowering them. And so I also believe one of the things I learned in the military is when your fellow soldier asks you for assistance, you respond. So I thought today I could help out by just telling you a little bit about my story and maybe about the specific events of my life might give you a better general understanding of vets. So I spent 5 years in the Army from 1992 to 1997. And prior to joining the Army, I attended Yale University and received a bachelor's in philosophy. And 7 months later, I enlisted as an infantryman in the United States Army. And this is not a normal course of action for an Ivy League graduate. But after spending 4 years studying philosophy, I wanted to do something real. And I felt then, and I still feel now, that being an infantry soldier is about as real as it gets. Haven't heard that in a while. So after 2 years as an infantryman, I had such a great experience that I attended the Army's Officer Candidate School, and I spent the next 3 years as a tank platoon leader, first in Korea, and then with the Army's 82nd Airborne Division, where yes, we did drop tanks out of planes with parachutes on them. In the last 18 years since I left the military, I've worked in technology and entertainment. I worked briefly in Silicon Valley, and then I met the woman who is now my wife, and she is an actress. I moved to Los Angeles, and then 12 years ago, I started a company that some of you may have heard of called Cast It Systems. And Cast It provides an audition streaming service for film and television, and it's used probably 80%, 90% of current film and television production. And it's pretty much become the standard of the last 12 years of how that process works. Additionally, from 2005 to 2013, I produced 4 feature films with budgets ranging from $100,000 to $100 million. And most recently, I founded a startup called FileTrack. And FileTrack is a platform that allows you to control the information you share on the internet. Throughout all of my post-military experience, there's not been a day that my time in the Army hasn't had an impact. The confidence I learned as an officer in the Army allowed me to pursue a wide variety of activities, from producing to starting software companies to chasing my beautiful wife. And the focus and discipline that I learned in the Army allowed me to achieve those things. And I just wanted to share kind of one example, a very specific example that I thought might be helpful for you of a lesson that I learned that I apply pretty much every day. And it has to do with obstacles. And the Army teaches you that obstacles, just like in regular life, are things that stop you from getting to your objective. And these can be man-made or natural. Man-made in the Army are minefields, barbed wire, trenches. But it can be a river, it can be a mountain. And the Army teaches you that there are 3 options when you come to an obstacle. There's breach, bypass, and bowl through. And the Army likes alliteration. It makes it easier to remember things. Breach, bypass, and bowl through. And breach is when you reduce an obstacle. You clear the minefield, you cut the wire, and you continue on your mission. Bypass, exactly what you think. You find a way around it, continue on your mission. And bowl through is when those first 2 options don't work and you have to get to your objective, you drive through it. And why I raise this example is one of the things I found interesting in the last 18 years working in the post-military world is that most people, when they're presented with an obstacle, go immediately to those last 2 options, bypass or bowl through. They try and find a way around a problem, or they just drive right through it. And they're really missing an opportunity. Because breach, by its very definition, if you get through that minefield, if you get to that other side, you're where the enemy doesn't expect you to be. You've achieved an advantage. You've taken a negative and you turned it into a positive. And this is something that you don't see very often in the world, in the post-military world, outside the Army. And I hope that if you can remember anything from today, that you'll remember the obstacle and that the 3 options are breach, bypass, and bolt through, and that the best of these is breach. Thank you. My name is Eric Hayes, and I'm a U.S. Army vet.